Alrighty, so what I'm going to do to start this underglow is I'm going to first set up the toggle switch. Cheap, easy toggle switch from Walmart. And I already got a toggle switch right here set up for my backup camera and my LEDs in the cab. And so I can see this is the power supply and this is the auxiliary power. So this is where the power supply comes into. That's the one that gets cut off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up this one just that way. This is going to be the power supply, and this one's going to be the cutoff. So first what I got to do is trim this up with my handy dandy trim tool. Self-trimming wire splicers. So I'll go ahead and do that. I don't know if you can see that, or if you did see that. So we got that. So now we just got to wire that in to the toggle switch. It's always best if you wrap these wires. And I'll come back. Doesn't that look beautiful? Perfectly wrapped and everything. Just use some of the electric tape, tension tape, and you just wrap that up and it'll look beautiful. This is 16 gauge wire I'm using, and then I'll move it over into 18 gauge speaker wire, and then eventually it's going to be 24 gauge LED wire, which are these bad boys right here. I got blue and white. That's going to go underneath the truck. I'm going to do blue on the sides, white on the front and back, because that's gangster. So I'm isolating the power supply wire I'm splicing into, which is right here. This is 20 gauge, just single wrapped copper wire. So I'm going to use automatic wire strippers, or self-calibrating wire strippers. I'm going to be very gentle. Just open it up just like that. Nice and beautiful. You can see I got a nice little opening there. I'm going to cut and strip my 16 gauge and splice it into there. It'll look great. Alright, as you can see, I got it spliced into there. I'm going to have it going the direction I want the wire to be spliced at, and it's always better to wire up some more wire than have less wire, just in case, and you can always tuck it. As you can see, this looks like a mess, but it's actually zip tied pretty well. I'm going to have it right underneath my brake booster. Here's the, like I showed before, the camera and LED light for the cab. This one's going to be the underglow because I need to have two separate switches. I can't have it running off of just the regular one. So that's what I'm doing right now. Now I'm going to wire up the power supply, have it run down through here, all the way down here, through here, underneath this paneling here. And I already drilled a hole here, and this is where my backup camera is wired down into the railing of the truck, and then this is where I'm going to have my underglow into the railing of the truck. So the best ways to wire these switches is to get the wire straight up onto the butt of the terminal, and then just wrap the wire around it. And if it's okay if you have a little bit of the coating touching it, because as long as that wire is wrapped around it, it'll be great. I found this to be the best way to wrap one of the terminals on a switch. Alright, so we're going to mount the switch. I always like having my switches in a certain position. I like the on to be right here and then off to be in that position, so I'm going to switch it off. And now I'm going to mount the switch, because like I said, figure out the position of the switch, because sometimes you have it in completely opposite position you want. There's a certain position I like my switches. I like to have my switches. Okay? The switches in a certain position. Okay? And so, got that mounted up. Just placing it isopropyl alcohol on this, any surface you're going to be mounting anything. Tape, I use a microfiber cloth with isopropyl alcohol. It's going to be your best friend. Get all that lint and dust off, and you're going to have a nice mating surface right there. And look at that. And this is just, you know, some double-sided mounting foam tape that I got from the 99-cent store, and it works great as long as you do the isopropyl alcohol, and it works great. So now we're going to run the wire, and we're going to under panel it, and then we're going to set up a power source so that way we can test the LEDs before we mount them. This is the fun, easy part. We're going to remove the paneling. So this is the foot guard running board. I don't know what you would call this. For the Ford, you just have these screws. We're gonna lift up the carpet. This is a custom painted carpet. I just used like 96 cents. Sorry about that. Okay, so we got one removed. This would be another one, but I didn't put it back in. There would be another one too, but I didn't put it back in. And so then we have the first and final one, or the fourth and final one, whichever direction you start first. And I love doing YouTube videos, especially when other people are around, because I sound like a freak because I'm talking to myself. But that's okay. We all know what I'm doing. So we remove that panel. Oh golly, I lost one of my screws. So I'll put them in a safe spot. Okay, so once you've done that, to remove this panel, because that's all you need to do, there's a little push peg right there. But since I painted this, because it was supposed to be this blue color and I painted it black, I already have it removed, but all you gotta do is slide it forward. That's it. So you remove this running board, slide this forward, and then you have it up here in this position, and you just kind of move that out of the way. I remove all the paneling as weight reduction. No, I was just painting it. So there's that. Then you have all this excess wire. So we're gonna just lift up the carpet a little bit. Run the wire through. This is my work truck that I use to tow cars and take to the dump and all my other fun stuff. So it gets quite dirty, but I've always said, do what you can to your truck to make it look nice, because you're sitting it for a majority of the time that you're driving. Does that make sense? It makes sense. It makes sense. So I'm just gonna tuck this underneath the carpet, run it, run it down through, lift up that panel, and there we have our hole. And to place it in the hole, I'm just gonna show you how to do it. Just like that. Oh gosh, it's stuck. Just like that. Now the reason why I do that is so that way extra dirt and stuff, contaminants don't get into the cab of the truck. Wouldn't want it to get dirty. And then you just feed it in. Feed it through. Pull it through. Shaboink. Cut excess wire, because if you have less wire, that's always a problem. More wire is better, and you can always save the extra part. And then it's just in reverse. So we take our fancy piece. I'm going to say this is emergency brake release panel. There we go. That sounds nice, doesn't it? Emergency brake release panel. Reinstall that. Make sure the carpet's all good. And see how I say the excess? Now you can pin it up however way you want it, and it's not a problem. Pull it through. Just want to double check, make sure you got all the burrs when you were doing this, which I did, and so it's all good. And then you just replace this back down. Get your screw. There it is. Driver. Find your hole blindly. That's what you're gonna have to do. Make sure the carpet's tucked right. You don't want to have to come back and redo this after you took your carpet. And all that shenanigans. I just kind of keep screwing until I get it right. Tee-hee. Practice makes perfect, right? And then come over to the next one. Same philosophy. Screw until you get it right. And the great thing about doing two of these is you can remove this panel quite quickly. And that's what I did on purpose, so that way I could repaint it whenever I needed to. But I haven't needed to repaint it yet, because the 96 cent spray paint without any clear coat works great. You can just paint and paint for days. So now we have our awesome wire down here. I'm just gonna wire up the 18 gauge wire, ground it out, and then we can start testing out these different LEDs. And I'll show you why. Alright, so I got it wired up. As you see, I'm just using twisty ties to test it. But you will be using alignment splice like I got right here. Once you get everything spliced together, I have it grounded out to the truck very poorly. So let's go ahead and test it. This is a moment of truth to make sure your wiring is all good and set. And look at that. We got blue. Blue. In fact, you can even position it from this position as well. Let's see how much light am I getting. Quite a bit. So, alright. Move on to the next one. Trying another one. Another blue. Blue. And you're probably wondering why is he testing? Why is he doing this? He bought them, they should be good. Well, I did the underglow on my fit, and one of them happened to be a completely different color. It was purple instead of blue. So that's one reason. Another reason is just in case you have a problem with one of them before testing. One of them is faulty. That way you know it's not your wiring. That you know it's just, oh well, one of them's faulty. So I gotta replace it. Instead of getting all the way to the end step and firing up the whole system, because these link together. And one of them doesn't work, so it doesn't transfer power into the other system, because these things slip out from right here. Where they solder them together right here, it's not enough. So where it's at the sleeve, you need to tape it again, so that way it doesn't slip out. I have went through 3 of these this way, including the one that's in the truck right now. I had to rewire it because the solder failed. So it's just way better to secure it that way. And in another video I'll show you how to go from 24 gauge to 18 gauge with Lyman splices. So that's another video. I got a whole set for the Bronco, the yellow. It's gonna look great. Alright. White. Alright, sweet. So we got them all tested. Now's the fun part, mounting them. It's very easy and simple to do. You're just gonna find the position you want to mount them. And since this is a truck, it makes it incredibly simple because Fords have all these holes. So you can use zip ties and just zip tie it down. I'm not even gonna have to, see, like right here, it's beautiful, perfect. I don't think I'm gonna even have to use any tape or any adhesive to get these to be mounted underneath this truck. You can if you want to, but I don't think I need to. So I'm just gonna zip tie them around, keep them taut. My problem is gonna be the back. The rear is gonna be horrible because I got my spare tire. I don't even know how I'm gonna do it underneath the differential. I have to figure out a way to do it. But I'm definitely gonna wire up everything, the 2 passenger driver side, and then the front, and then figure out the back. So that's what I'm gonna do right now. And I'll show you when it's done. As you can see, we're just testing the glow. So I actually like that position. It works great. It's working a lot better than I thought it would. It looks purple here, but it's actually a nice blue. But I thought it would only be part of the truck, but it's actually covering quite a bit of this mid-range. And when I have that white one, it'll kind of blend in right in there. So this looks great. But you always want to test fit it on one side first, and then you want to follow that same pattern on the other side. I'm a little dummy. I already taped everything off. Lyman spliced it without splicing in the front one. Try and get as much power to these as much as possible. You don't want to just have it running off of one loop. Just in case something happens to one of them, the other ones will just have power independently on its own source. So I gotta wire that one up and wire that one up. Alright, now I got the front one going. Like I said, that little spot right here, you may not be able to see it on camera, but you can see a little underglow from there. So we got the blue and the white blending pretty well. I like it. It looks great. I'm enjoying it. Ah, sexy. Alright, got the whole thing put up. Now I zip tied it up as well. So now we're just going and trimming off all the extra on all the zip ties. You just want to trim it all. It's better to use big ones, small ones, all different types of zip ties. Zip ties are your friends, especially in this situation. Look at this, just extra wire hanging here. You know, you're gonna want to cover these up, and I'll show you how to do that. Just give me 1 second.